Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin our opening ceremonies for the 2019 DCJS Law Enforcement Symposium. First order of business, I'd like to ask you to all rise for the presentation of the colors. I'd like to introduce Assistant Sheriff Rob Swenszkowski from the Oneida County Sheriff's Office, who's going to sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's give a round of applause for the Albany Police Color Guard and for Assistant Sheriff Rob Swenszkowski. Thank you. You can all be seated. I'd like to again welcome you all here to Albany for the 2019 DCJS Law Enforcement Symposium. This is our largest event yet. It seems like I keep saying that every year, which is a good thing. I really appreciate all of you taking the time off from your daily work to be here, to network with your peers from around the state, to learn from one another. I'm really grateful that you all took the time out to be here, and thank you to all of our presenters as well. Just a couple of logistical items that I want to go over with all of you. First of all, you all should have checked in to the registration area, which is located directly outside of those doors where I'm pointing. Please, if you have not checked in and signed in, please do so during one of the breaks. It's important. When you checked in, you should have received a portfolio. It looks vaguely familiar like this. Inside of that portfolio are a few items that will help you during the next 3 days. First is a pen and a business card and a postcard from our folks in the Office of Justice Research and Performance promoting the Knowledge Bank, which we will have a presentation on, and they also do have a booth set up outside in the main lobby area. You also will have your program. So inside of your program is some important information. First of all, it's kind of a one-pager on what DCJS does, how we support law enforcement and the criminal justice community around the state, a welcome letter from our Commissioner, Mike Green, the agenda, which has the time, the event title, the presenters, and the location of each one of the sessions that we have. By the way, I think I counted 49 sessions over 3 days, and I'll go over a little bit more detail regarding each one of those in just a few minutes. After the agenda, we have a further expanded description of each one of the presentations, so you can learn a little bit more about what the presenters will be discussing. After that, we have the biographies of most, if not all, of our presenters, and that is in alphabetical order, so you can learn again a little bit more about who is actually doing the presentations you'll be attending. Also, towards the back on page 42, we have information about the jurisdictions who manned the tables and discussed certain things regarding their evidence-based work. I also would encourage you, if you see something in here that's of interest, many of these jurisdictions are formally presenting or a part of a panel during the next 3 days, but if they're not, and if something looks interesting to you, please reach out to the folks from Albany County or Broome County, wherever it might be. They'll be identified by their name badges. After the jurisdiction networking session, we have information on our informational booths. So we've asked various agencies, some state agencies, some academic institutions, to set up booths in our main lobby outside. They will be here for all 3 days, and they'll be able to provide you some information about things that may be important to you. So information on each one of those booths and what they have as far as resources for each one of you are in this book as well. Then we have a map of the facility, which is important, but I also want to point out that any of the DCJS staff or the OGS staff will be able to point you in the right direction. We will only be in this room together for, I think, 5 presentations total. Most of the other presentations will occur in meeting rooms 1 through 6, which are in that direction, and we'll have people from DCJS and others to point you in that direction. DCJS staff who are manning this event can be identified by their name tags that have a green volunteer banner. It's not really the size of a banner, but identification saying that we're volunteers. I am getting paid, so I'm not really a volunteer, and I think the commissioner would not want to dock my check anyway. So then we have some notes pages. So those of you who don't want to utilize the portfolios that we gave to you can certainly make notes about the various presentations you attended. And then on the back cover, I'm pleased to announce a save the date for our next symposium, and I get palpitations just thinking about it. But that will be here in this location, September 30th through October 2nd. I just want you to pencil that in now so we can start promoting it statewide to expand our reach even further. A couple of other logistical type of issues I want to go over with you. Going back to the restrooms, are located in a couple of different locations. Most easily identifiable is the men's room, which is right outside that room. The ladies' room, there is signs directing you to the ladies' room. There are also meeting rooms located directly outside of meeting room 6, and additional restrooms located outside of, in the hallway of rooms 1 through 5. So there are plenty of restrooms available. Again, if you need some direction, we will certainly direct you to the right location. In the event of a fire or evacuation, please follow the directions of the OGS staff and the DCJS staff for the nearest exit locations, which are clearly marked. Also, the breakout room structure, I'd like to go over that. So we have, I mentioned, 49 different presentations. Many of those are breakouts. What we ask is if you have multiple representation from your agency that is here, please do not all go to the same one. Please try to spread out your agency personnel. We think that would be the best way for you to gain the most knowledge and be able to implement some of these things back at your local agencies. One specific track that I want to talk about is our evidence-based policing 101 track. So in in meeting room 6, each session in meeting room 6 is designed for those who have had not a lot of exposure to evidence-based policing, evidence-based crime reduction strategies. This year we've invited frontline personnel and non-GIV agencies, so some of you would certainly be welcome in that. We have others here who have been to 5 or 6 symposiums. This is our 6th symposium, GIV and then GIV CAC, and now the Law Enforcement Symposium. Some of you are very familiar with evidence-based policing, but we want to have something specific for those who haven't had a lot of exposure to it. And that we ask that you attend all of those sessions that are in meeting room 6. Each one of them is specifically geared towards you. So that is in meeting room 6. Again, if there's, we also have meeting room 107 available, which is actually directly outside of these doors here. It's kind of set aside. That is an opportunity for you to meet with presenters that are available to get more details about their presentation that they might not have had time to share during their presentation. It's also a forum for you all to network with your peers if there's something of interest, like I mentioned previously, that you would like to discuss in more detail with another jurisdiction. You can certainly use that space. It's a meeting room space designed kind of for all of you to be able to network and learn more from each other in a smaller, more intimate environment. So that's meeting room 107. Lastly, before I introduce our commissioner, is tonight there is a networking session. I find that you tend to learn a lot about people at these networking sessions. It is at City Beer Hall at 4:30 until 7:30. I'm glad that the State Association of Police Chiefs was able to partner up with us on that. It is a cash bar event, but please feel free to come out, check into your hotels. City Beer Hall is located within close proximity to most of the hotels that are in the downtown Albany area. So come out and join us and meet some of your peers from around the state and for the country. Okay, that's enough for the logistics. Every year I say the same thing, that I get to introduce our commissioner and his support for not only this event, but his support of law enforcement and the criminal justice community in New York is really second to none as far as I'm concerned. And there's a lot in his biography, which is located in your program description, and a lot he has done. But I think that the thing that I would like to specifically point out about him is that he inspires all of us at DCJS to try to do everything that we possibly can to support all of you better on a constant basis. And there's nothing more important, I think, for us as a state agency to do than to be trying to support all of you that are out there in the field, that are doing the work, that are sacrificing your time, sometimes your lives, in the pursuit of making this the safest state in the nation. So all of that being said, I'm pleased to introduce our Commissioner, Michael Green.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Appreciate the introduction. I always tell him to keep it brief, and I never know if he will. But that actually was great because you'll find that it's going to fit in very nicely with some of the remarks that I'm going to make here. My first reaction looking around is, wow, it's great to see so many people here. New York is the safest large state in the country, measured by index crime rates. Not only are we the safest large state, but we have the lowest incarceration rate of any of the large states. Our incarceration rate, or our incarceration totals peaked at about 72,000 people in state prison in 1999, and we're down to, I believe, between 45 and 46,000 right now. And during the course of that tremendous decline in the number of people in prison, we've also seen tremendous declines in crime. Over the last 10 years, our index crimes have gone from about 450,000 index crimes to below 350,000. That's 100,000 fewer index crimes in 10 years, 100,000 fewer people victimized. If you look during that same 10-year period across New York State, and if you take New York City out, and the numbers are still good with New York City, but most of our work relates to the rest of the state, the 22% decline over the last 10 years in index crime, a 17% decline in violent crime over a 10-year period. If you look at the arrests of young people over a 10-year period, those arrests have just plummeted. You look at our probation population, the number of people under probation supervision has gone down from over 125,000 to about 90,000. Again, just huge declines. Local jail populations are down. You look at homicides. We have data going back to about 1965. Our homicides peaked out in the early 90s at about 2,600 homicides a year. The last 2 years, we've had 547 and 560 homicides. Those are the lowest numbers that we have since we started keeping track. When you look at shootings, and we don't have statewide shooting data because aggravated assaults get reported, but we do have shooting data for the GIV jurisdictions. Our shootings in the GIV jurisdictions are at an all-time low. And the work that all of you do each and every day contributes to that success. And I could give examples, and you'll hear examples during the course of this conference, from the focused deterrence and GVI work being done in Newburgh to some innovative work being done in Buffalo that you'll hear about around custom notifications, and so many different examples in between. It's all of you that in a huge way contribute to that success. I think it's also important to take a minute and reflect on the fact that we have an infrastructure here to support your work in New York State that sometimes I know I took for granted when I was in your shoes as a prosecutor, and I think sometimes we take for granted. But if you travel to other states, you realize that what the infrastructure we have is unique. For example, the crime analysis centers started out as a network of 4 centers in 4 counties. It's now a network that's about to add its 10th center, covers 30 counties across New York State, ties together more than 350 law enforcement agencies in those jurisdictions, and provides countless tools to 350 departments across the state. We recently went through and documented, there's over 3,700 documented examples of major crimes that the crime analysis centers have helped solve. And it's not just the crimes they help solve, but the contribution they make to the people making decisions about strategies and evidence-based work and how they fit in with that work and the support that they provide. Another example is our SNUG, or street outreach programs. And again, you can look across the country and find individual cities doing good street outreach work. But we have a network across the state of street outreach sites. And I think we have our snug folks here in the room. Where are they? Do I see them hiding? There they are in the back with Jeff Clark and Damon. Again, just a tremendous resource for us to have, a network of street outreach sites across the state with a director, a training director, a support system to really professionalize those organizations and to help them work hand in hand with all of us in the room trying to achieve the same goal, to make our communities safer, drive down shootings, drive down homicides. And then give. And again, you can find places across the country where folks are doing great evidence-based work, providing technical assistance, but on a statewide level, to be able to bring in the top technical assistance providers from across the country year after year and day after day in your work to help work hand in hand with our local partners and drive good practice. So I think it's important when we think about the success we've had to think about not only the great work that all of you do, but the partnership we have and how these pieces fit together and really come up with a really nice picture. When you look at all that, you might say, what are we doing here? If everything's so great, why do we bring 500 people to Albany to get together for 3 days? And I think that we all know what the answer is. As great as our successes are, we still have challenges, particularly in our urban centers. And you all know the challenges in your centers or in your communities as well as I do or better. And we all know that these statistics aren't just statistics. It's not just 100,000 fewer victims. It's not just 2,000 fewer homicides. But there's real people and real lives behind each one of those statistics. And while we may be down to under 350,000 from over 450,000, and that's fantastic, it's still 350,000. And we want to drive that number down. And that's why we're here. We want to keep people from being victimized. We want to make our communities safer and better. And the question is, I think for this symposium and for all of us as we go forward, how do we do that? How do we build on this tremendous success that we've had? I remember talking to one researcher who told me that when you look at things, and particularly crime and crime policy, you'll see things are cyclical and crime goes up and crime goes down. And this researcher told me you can make a good argument, and this was several years back, that you're probably as low as you can go in New York. And there's only one way to go is up. You won't be able to drive it down anymore. And I refuse to believe that. I think there's always more we can do. I think we can always be better. I think we can always make our communities safer. And I think that's why all of us are here. And I think that's also where this concept of evidence-based crime policy comes in. We've had tremendous success. The low-hanging fruit is gone for the most part. If we want to get better, there's hard work to do. And it's not enough just to go out and work hard. We need to work smartly. If we're going to continue to build on this tremendous success, we've got to understand the research that's been done in this area. We need to understand what our partners across the country have done to address different criminal justice challenges. We need to understand what's been proven to be effective and what hasn't been effective in addressing specific challenges. We need to know under what conditions those efforts were successful or not successful. We need to know what we can learn from the work that our colleagues have done across the country so we can do better. And we need to ask ourselves, how can we take this knowledge and put it to use when we go back to our communities to make our families and our friends and our communities safer? Now, as Chuck mentioned, this is our first Law Enforcement Symposium, but it's really our 6th symposium. We had 4 GIVE symposiums, Last year, we combined the GIVE and the Crime Analysis Center symposiums into one, so that was our 5th event. This year, we've opened it up, so it's not just the GIVE jurisdictions or the Crime Analysis Center jurisdictions. We've opened it up to law enforcement and law enforcement partners from across the entire state, and also tried to make sure we opened it up to our research partners in a way we hadn't done before. And as Chuck noted, for those of you who have been here multiple times in the past, hopefully we have offerings that recognize the level you're at and address what you need. And for folks who haven't had the opportunity to be here before, take a look at that evidence-based crime policy 101 track that Chuck talked about, and hopefully you find that very helpful. I do want to take a minute and thank some folks. And first I want to thank our presenters. If you look over the 49 different offerings that Chuck talked about that we have over the course of the next 3 days, and it seems like every year we say we're going to simplify things, and every year it doesn't quite happen that way. But in any event, as you look over those 49 offerings, you will see presenters who are practitioners, community members, academic partners from New York State and from all over the country. In all of them, whether they're practitioners here in New York or practitioners in California or academic partners anywhere in the country, all of them are incredibly busy people. And they've put aside what they have to do to come here for the next 3 days and share their experience and their knowledge and their expertise with us. And I want to take a minute and thank all of our presenters for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us and share with us, and to help us think about how we can continue to improve and continue to build on our success. I also want to take a minute and thank the DCJS staff, Mike Wood, Johanna Sullivan, particularly Chuck Tyree, and I can't name all of the names because literally probably 100 names I'd have to name or more, but Chuck and the team have done just a tremendous job. We have over 500 attendees at the conference this year, and 49 presentations. It's a mountain of work it takes to make that happen. I think they've done a great job. So if you could, join me in giving them a round of applause. And finally, and probably most importantly, I want to take a minute to thank each and every one of you, all of our attendees who've come here this year. Because again, just like our presenters, you come from police departments, sheriff's offices, district attorney's offices, probation departments, SNUG teams, research partners, and more. And all of you are incredibly busy doing your day-to-day job. And I'm sure every one of you had 5 other places you could have been over the next 3 days. But you made this a priority. And you took the time to be here, to participate, and to share with all of us, and collectively help us get better. And I want to let you know that we don't take that lightly. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you being here to share with us. As Chuck alluded to, I do try and push the DCJS team every day to say, what can we do at DCJS to be better? What can we do to better serve the people on the front lines, all of you, who are working so hard to make this state safe? And I think it's important collectively that we realize that if we want to get better, it won't happen by just doing the same thing over and over again. Because doing the same thing over and over again, at best, will get us the same results we've gotten. And at worst, when the people that sometimes we feel like we're fighting against figure out what we're doing the same thing over and over again may not be effective at all. If we're truly going to get better and get safer as a state, make our communities safer, keep people from getting shot and keep people from getting killed, we collectively need to ask ourselves each and every day when we get up and go to work, how can we do better? As good as we are, and I think you can make a very good argument that we are better than anyone else in the country at this, but as good as we are, I think we owe it to the people that we serve every single day to say, how can we be better? How can we continue to raise the bar? How can we keep people from getting shot, keep people from getting killed, keep people from being victimized? And this, at least for me, and I know for most, if not all of you, is very rewarding work. I'm in my 33rd year now in public safety, spent 25 years as a prosecutor. And I think all of us realize that in our jobs, we are in a unique position where we can have a huge impact on people's lives. We can help people turn their lives around. We can help keep people from getting shot and killed. We can help keep people from winding up in wheelchairs for the rest of their lives. We can help make it safer to walk the streets of our communities. And if you stop and think about it, that's an awesome responsibility, but an awesome feeling to know that through our work, we can have such a powerful impact on people's lives. And if we're going to get better, if we're going to continue to have that impact on people and on communities, we need to understand what's been done before us, what's been done by our other partners across the country, what works, what doesn't work, and how we can take that knowledge back and use the tools that we have, like the crime analysis centers and our street outreach programs and the other tools available, and be creative, but at the same time be grounded in evidence and continue to push the envelope and get better. And again, I'll leave you with that same thought, and I know I've said it before, but the work you do each and every day does make a difference. Don't ever get discouraged. Don't ever think it doesn't, because it does. You save lives. You make people's lives better. You make our communities better. And collectively, as we come together for the next 3 days, we have a chance to help all of us together, help us raise that bar even higher. And as great as New York State is, we can make it even better. We can make it even safer. And at DCJS, I can tell you, we look forward to partnering with you and working with you to make that a reality. So thank you for being here.